The ground shook under Hyunwoo's boots as another explosion lit up the dark sky. Red dirt flew everywhere, and the smell of burned metal filled the air. He pressed his back against a broken wall and checked his rifle. Only half a clip left. Fall back. Fall back! The voice came through his helmet radio. Major Sujin Lee sounded angry and tired. All units retreat to the landing zone. We lost this one. Hyunwoo looked around the ruins of what used to be a city on the planet Kelthara. 3 months ago, this place had tall buildings and busy streets. Now it was just broken concrete and twisted metal. The Vorthak Empire had won another battle, and the Galactic Alliance was running away again. He started moving with the other soldiers. Humans, aliens, all mixed together in one big mess of retreat. Everyone wanted to get to the ships before the enemy caught up. But something made him stop and look back. There, about 50 meters away, lay Veltar. The big Cathani warrior was on his back, not moving. His legs looked wrong, bent at strange angles. Dark blue blood pooled around him. Veltar was huge, even for his species. Nearly 8 feet tall with thick arms and gray skin like stone. But now he looked small and broken. Hyunwoo remembered when Veltar had jumped in front of that plasma blast. A Zentaurian officer was running away, not watching where he was going. The enemy weapon would have cut him in half. But Veltar moved fast, took the hit right in the spine, saved the Zentaurian's life. Now that same Zentaurian officer was walking past Veltar like he didn't exist. Hey, Hyunwoo called out. What about Veltar? The Zentaurian stopped. His big head turned on his long neck. His eyes were black and cold. The Cathani is paralyzed. He cannot walk. Cannot fight. He is useless now. So we just leave him? It is logical. We cannot waste resources on the broken. The Zentaurian's voice had no feeling in it. His own people have already decided. Hyunwoo looked around and saw it was true. Cathani soldiers were walking past their wounded friend. Their faces showed no emotion. One of them stopped near Veltar and spoke in their deep, rumbling language. Then he moved on. What did he say? Hyunwoo asked. A Cathani warrior nearby heard him. He wished Veltar honor and death. A paralyzed warrior has no place among us. It is our way. Hyunwoo felt sick. Your way sucks. The Cathani's eyes flashed with anger, but he said nothing and walked away. More soldiers passed by. Pakari medics with their pale skin and big eyes looked at Veltar and shook their heads. His spirit is broken with his body, one said. We cannot heal what should not be healed. Even some human soldiers walked past. They looked sad but kept moving. The order was to retreat. No time for heroics. Hyunwoo knelt down next to Veltar. The big alien's eyes were open, staring at the dark sky. Tears ran down his gray cheeks. Human Hyunwoo, Veltar said. His voice was quiet and full of pain. You should go. I am Velnoth now. The broken one. My honor is gone. Your honor isn't gone, Hyunwoo said. You saved that Zentaurian's life. I cannot walk. Cannot fight. I am nothing. Veltar closed his eyes. Leave me to die with what little dignity I have left. Hyunwoo looked at the broken warrior.
3 months of fighting together.
Veltar had saved his life twice. Once when a Vorthak soldier got too close with a knife. Another time when falling rocks almost crushed him. They had shared food, water, and stories about their homeworlds. Corporal Park. Major Sujin Lee's voice was sharp. She was standing 20 meters away with the last group of retreating soldiers. Move your ass. That's an order. Hyunwoo stood up and looked at his commanding officer. She was a good leader, fair and smart. But she was wrong about this. No, sir, he said. What did you say? I said no, sir. I'm not leaving him. Major Lee walked over, her face hard with anger. He's not our responsibility, Corporal. Look around you. His own people left him. Why should we die for someone who doesn't even want to live? Because we don't leave people behind. Any people? Hyunwoo took off his pack and started pulling out medical supplies. It's what makes us human. He's not human, Park. He bled with us. Fought with us. That makes him family. Hyunwoo looked up at her. You taught me that, sir. Remember what you said on day 1? We take care of our own. Major Lee looked frustrated. In the distance, they could hear enemy vehicles getting closer. The sound of tracks on broken ground. They were running out of time. He's paralyzed, Park. Even if we get him out, what then? His people won't take him back. He'll die anyway. Hyunwoo thought about his wife Ji-hai back on Earth. She was a doctor who fixed people's spines and brains. She always said that giving up was the only real failure, that as long as someone was breathing, there was hope. Maybe, he said, but he'll die knowing someone cared enough to try. The Major stared at him for a long moment. Then she shook her head. You're going to get yourself killed. Maybe. But I can live with that. What I can't live with is walking away. Major Lee looked around at the other soldiers. They were all watching now. Humans and aliens both. Some looked confused. Others looked angry. A few looked like they understood. Anyone who stays with Corporal Park will be court-martialed for disobeying orders, she announced. No one moved, but no one left either. Fine, she said. You've got 10 minutes before this place is crawling with Vorthak troops. After that, you're on your own. She started to walk away, then stopped. And Park, if you somehow make it out alive, I'll recommend you for the biggest medal they make, right before I throw you in the brig. As the last of the retreat disappeared into the smoke and darkness, Hyunwoo knelt back down next to Veltar. The alien warrior was looking at him with confusion and something that might have been hope. Why? Veltar whispered. Hyunwoo started building a stretcher from broken pieces of metal and cloth, because that's what friends do. In the distance, the sound of enemy engines grew louder. The stretcher looked like trash, but it would have to work. Hyunwoo had tied together pieces of broken metal with strips torn from his uniform. It wasn't pretty, but it was strong enough to hold Veltar's massive weight. This will not work, Veltar said as Hyunwoo carefully rolled him onto the makeshift stretcher. I am too heavy. You're too small? Maybe, Hyunwoo grunted as he lifted one end. The Kathani warrior weighed at least 300 pounds. But I'm too stubborn to quit. He had grabbed an anti-grav unit from a destroyed supply crate. The device was damaged but still worked a little. It made Veltar lighter, but not by much. Hyunwoo still had to pull and push the stretcher by hand. The sound of Vorthak hover tanks was getting closer. Their engines made a high whining noise that hurt his ears. Soon they would be here, and then it would be too late. Human Hyunwoo, Veltar said as they started moving through the ruins. Why do you do this thing? Your own leaders think you are dead now. No one will thank you for this. Hyunwoo was already breathing hard. Sweat ran down his face despite the cold night air. My wife Ji-hai always says that doing the right thing isn't about getting thanks. Your mate is wise. What does she do? She's a doctor. Fixes people's brains and spines. Hyunwoo stopped to rest against a broken wall. His back was already aching. She told me once about a patient who broke his neck in an accident. Everyone said he would never walk again, but she didn't give up. Spent 2 years working on him. Now he runs marathons. Veltar was quiet for a moment. Your people do not accept defeat easily. We're pretty bad at it, Hyunwoo agreed. He checked his radio, trying different frequencies. Alliance Command, this is Corporal Park. Do you copy? Static. Medical Command, this is Corporal Park. I have a wounded soldier who needs evacuation. More static. Anyone out there? We need help. Nothing but the empty hiss of dead air. They have abandoned us, Veltar said. No. They just think we're dead. There's a difference. Hyunwoo started pulling the stretcher again. When they find out we're alive, they'll come for us. But even as he said it, he wasn't sure he believed it. The Alliance had bigger problems than one human and one paralyzed alien. They moved slowly through the destroyed city. Hyunwoo had to stop every few minutes to rest. His muscles burned and his hands were raw from gripping the stretcher handles. But he kept going. The ruins were full of shadows and strange noises. Sometimes he heard movement in the darkness and reached for his rifle, but it was always just the wind or pieces of buildings falling down. Tell me about your home, Veltar said during one of their rest stops. Earth? Why? I need something to think about besides the pain. The big alien's voice was tight with suffering, and I want to understand the world that makes people like you. Hyunwoo told him about Seoul, where he grew up. About the tall buildings and busy streets. About his mother who made the best kimchi in the neighborhood, and his father who taught him to fix machines. About meeting Ji-hai in college and how she was smarter than anyone he had ever known. She sounds like a worthy mate, Veltar said. She is. Too good for me, really. Hyunwoo smiled in the darkness. She could have married anyone. Rich guys, smart guys, handsome guys. But she picked the soldier with more heart than brains. Perhaps she is wiser than you think. They started moving again. Behind them, searchlights began sweeping through the ruins. The Vorthak had arrived and were looking for survivors to kill. Hyunwoo pulled the stretcher into an alley between two collapsed buildings. The space was narrow and dark. Perfect for hiding, but it would be hard to get the stretcher through. Leave me, Veltar whispered. Take my weapon and go. You can still escape. Not happening. Hyunwoo started carefully maneuvering the stretcher through the tight space. We're both getting out of here. I am slowing you down, getting you killed. Maybe, but my friend Taeho back home always said that the only way to fail is to stop trying. Hyunwoo grunted as he squeezed the stretcher past a pile of rubble. Besides, Jihai would kill me if I came home without trying to save someone I could help. Even an alien someone. Especially an alien someone. She thinks humans need to prove we're worth having in the galaxy. The searchlight swept past the mouth of the alley. Hyunwoo held his breath and stayed perfectly still. The light moved on. They reached the other end of the alley after 20 minutes of careful movement. Hyunwoo's shirt was soaked with sweat and his hands were bleeding from scrapes against the rough walls. Where are we going? Veltar asked. The old industrial district. Lots of underground tunnels there. If we can reach them, we can move without being seen. And then, Hyunwoo didn't answer right away. He was looking at his map, trying to figure out the best route. The truth was, he didn't have a real plan. Just the hope that they could stay alive long enough for rescue to come. There's a resistance cell operating in the mountains, he finally said. If we can reach them, maybe they can help. That is 60 kilometers away. Through enemy territory. Yeah, it's going to suck. Despite everything, Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. You humans have a gift for understatement. They moved through the night, hiding when patrols came near and resting when Hyunwoo couldn't go any further. The Cathani warrior never complained, even though Hyunwoo could see he was in terrible pain. As the sun started to rise, they found shelter in an old factory. Hyunwoo collapsed against a wall, exhausted. His whole body ached and he could barely feel his hands. You should rest, Veltar said. I will watch for enemies. You can't move. How can you watch? I can still see. Still hear. Still shoot if I must. Veltar held up his massive rifle. Sleep, human Hyunwoo. I will guard you as you have guarded me. Hyunwoo wanted to argue, but he was too tired. His eyes closed before he could stop them. He dreamed of Jihai, working in her hospital back on Earth. In the dream, she was operating on a patient with a broken spine. Her hands moved with perfect skill and confidence. Never give up, she said without looking away from her work. As long as they're breathing, there's hope. When he woke up, the sun was high and Veltar was pointing his rifle at the factory entrance. Company, the big alien said quietly. Hyunwoo grabbed his weapon and looked where Veltar was pointing. 3 figures were moving through the rubble outside. They wore the gray uniforms of Vorthak soldiers. How long have they been there? Hyunwoo whispered. 5 minutes. They are searching building by building. Hyunwoo checked his rifle. Still only half a clip. Not enough for a real fight. Can you shoot? He asked. Yes. But if we fight, others will come. And if we don't fight, they'll find us anyway. The Vorthak soldiers were getting closer. Soon they would check the factory. Hyunwoo made his decision. He would fight. Not because he thought they could win, but because that's what humans did. They fought until the end, especially when someone they cared about was counting on them. Ready? He asked. Veltar nodded. It has been an honor, human Hyunwoo. Save the speeches. We're not dead yet. The first Vorthak soldier stepped through the factory door. The medical tent was bigger than Hyunwoo had expected. Clean white sheets, proper equipment, and the smell of antiseptic instead of death. A human doctor was examining Veltar while young Mi explained what they had built here. We started with 12 people, she said, pouring hot coffee into a metal cup. Survivors from different units, different species. All of us written off as dead by our own commands. Hyunwoo took the coffee gratefully. It was the first hot food or drink he'd had in days. How many now? 87. And growing every week. Young Mi sat down across from him. Word spreads, you know. Stories about humans who don't leave people behind. About soldiers who think impossible is just another word for difficult. The doctor, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and steady hands, looked up from his examination of Veltar. I'm Dr. Min-ho Kim, he said, and I've got some interesting news about your friend. Good interesting or bad interesting? Hyunwoo asked. That depends on how you feel about experimental surgery. Dr. Kim pulled up a chair. The damage to his spine is severe. By Cathani medical standards, completely untreatable. But human medical standards are a bit different. Different how? We don't accept permanent disability very well. It offends us on a basic level. Dr. Kim smiled. On Earth, we've been working on neural bridge technology for decades. Artificial connections that bypass damaged nerves. Veltar's eyes opened. He had been listening. You can fix me? Maybe. The procedure has never been tested on Kithani physiology. It could kill you, or it could do nothing, or... Dr. Kim paused. It could work better than we ever imagined. Explain, Veltar said. Kithani neural pathways are more efficient than human ones. If the artificial bridge connects properly, you might not just walk again. You might be stronger and faster than before. Young-Mi leaned forward. There's something else you should know, Corporal Park. Your friend here isn't the first hopeless case we've treated. She led them to another part of the camp. In a workshop area, a Zentorian was working on electronic equipment. But something was wrong with him. His movements were jerky, uncoordinated. That's Nex 477, Young-Mi said. His logic circuits were damaged in an explosion. His people declared him defective and left him to die. Said a Zentorian without perfect logic was worthless. But he's working, Hyunwoo observed, with human-designed neural implants that help him process information differently. He's not the cold logical machine his people wanted, but he's creative now. Inventive. He's designed half the equipment we use. They walked past a small garden where a female alien with pale skin and large eyes was tending plants. She looked up as they passed, but her eyes didn't focus on them. Ketela, Young-Mi said quietly, Vakari priestess, lost her telepathic abilities in a psychic attack. Her people said she was spiritually dead and abandoned her. And now, she grows the food that keeps us alive. Turns out you don't need telepathy to understand what plants need, just patience and care. At a weapon maintenance station, a one-armed Kithani was cleaning rifles with remarkable efficiency. He worked faster than most two-handed people Hyunwoo had seen. Mortis, Young-Mi said, lost his arm in combat. His people called him incomplete and cast him out. He seems to be doing fine, Hyunwoo said, better than fine. Human prosthetics have given him abilities his natural arm never had. Enhanced strength, built-in tools, perfect steadiness for long-range shooting. Young-Mi stopped walking and turned to face him. Do you see the pattern, Corporal? Hyunwoo looked around the camp again. Aliens working alongside humans, people who had been thrown away by their own species but were thriving here. You're collecting rejects, he said. We're saving people that others have given up on, and we're proving that being different doesn't mean being worthless. Young-Mi's voice was fierce with pride. Every species in the Alliance has cultural blind spots. Things they can't see past. Standards they won't bend, but humans don't. Oh, we have plenty of blind spots. But our biggest flaw is also our greatest strength. She smiled. We're too stubborn to know when we're supposed to quit. Dr. Kim approached them. I've finished the preliminary scans, he announced. The surgery is possible, but it will take time to prepare. Maybe 2 weeks to fabricate the neural bridge components. Do it, Veltar said immediately. You should think about this, Dr. Kim warned. The risks are significant. And even if it works, you'll be changed. Not just physically, but mentally. The artificial components will integrate with your natural neural patterns in ways we can't predict. I am already changed, Veltar replied. My people see me as dead. My honor is gone. What more can I lose? Your life, Dr. Kim said bluntly. A life without purpose is not worth keeping. Young-Mi put a hand on Veltar's shoulder. You'll have purpose here, regardless of whether you can walk. We don't measure worth by physical ability. But I want to fight again. To prove that the broken can be made whole. Dr. Kim nodded slowly. In that case, we'll start preparations tomorrow. But first, Corporal Park needs medical attention too. You're severely dehydrated, malnourished, and suffering from chemical burns. Hyunwoo wanted to protest, but his body chose that moment to remind him how much it hurt. Everything ached from his raw hands to his chemical-burned skin. Just a quick check, he said. I want to help with Veltar's surgery. You're not a doctor, Dr. Kim pointed out. No, but my wife is. Ji-Hai Park, neurosurgeon at Seoul Medical Center. I've watched her work, learned some things. Maybe I can help. Dr. Kim raised an eyebrow. Your wife is Dr. Ji-Hai Park, the one who developed the Seoul Protocol for Spinal Regeneration. You know her work? Know it. I studied under her during my residency. She's brilliant. Dr. Kim looked excited now. Yes, you definitely need to help with the surgery. Your wife's techniques could be exactly what we need. Over the next 2 weeks, the camp became a hive of activity. Dr. Kim worked on designing the neural bridge while technicians fabricated the components. Hyunwoo shared everything he could remember from watching Ji-Hai's surgeries. But it wasn't just medical preparation. Young Mi was organizing something bigger. "We're going to make a statement," she told Hyunwoo one evening as they watched the sunset from a hilltop. "When Veltar walks again, when he's stronger than before, it's going to change how people think about the broken and the useless." "How so?" "We're not hiding anymore. We're going to broadcast the surgery, send the recording to every Alliance command post and government office." Young Mi's eyes gleamed with determination. "Let them see what happens when you don't give up on people. The Vorthak will track the signal. Attack this place, probably, but by then it won't matter. The idea will be out there, spreading, growing." Hyunwoo thought about that. "You're starting a revolution." "No," Young Mi corrected. "You started it when you refused to leave a fallen comrade. We're just making sure everyone knows about it." The night before the surgery, Hyunwoo sat with Veltar outside the medical tent. The big Cathani warrior was calm, but Hyunwoo could see the tension in his posture. "Scared?" Hyunwoo asked. "Terrified," Veltar admitted, "but also hopeful. For the first time since I was injured, I have hope. That's what humans do best. Give people hope when there shouldn't be any. Is that why you saved me? To give me hope?" Hyunwoo thought about the question. "I saved you because it was right. The hope is just a bonus. And if the surgery fails, if I die on that table, then you'll die knowing that someone thought you were worth saving. That has to count for something." Veltar nodded slowly. "Yes, it counts for everything." The next morning, as Dr. Kim prepared for surgery, Hyunwoo made a call on the camp's communication system. It took several tries to get through, but finally a familiar voice answered. "Seoul Medical Center, Dr. Park speaking." "Hi, honey," Hyunwoo said. "I need your help with a patient." Jihai's voice changed immediately. "Hyunwoo? Where are you? They said you were killed in action." "It's a long story. Right now I need you to walk me through the Seoul protocol. We're about to try something that's never been done before. Me and a doctor who used to be your student. We're going to fix someone that everyone else gave up on." There was a pause. Then Jihi laughed, the sound warm and proud. "Of course you are. That's my stubborn husband. Tell me about the patient." As Dr. Kim began the delicate work of installing the neural bridge, Jihi's voice guided them through every step. Her expertise, combined with Dr. Kim's skill and Hyunwoo's determination, created something new. Not just a medical procedure, but a statement, a promise that no one was beyond saving as long as someone was willing to try. The Vorthak soldier never saw it coming. Veltar's rifle spoke once, a deep boom that echoed through the factory. The enemy dropped where he stood. The second soldier spun around, raising his weapon. Hyunwoo was already moving, diving behind a pile of old machinery. Plasma bolts sizzled past his head, leaving burning holes in the concrete wall. "Two more coming from the east," Veltar called out. His position gave him a good view of the approaches to the factory. Hyunwoo popped up and fired 3 quick shots. One hit the second soldier in the chest, spinning him around. The other shots went wide, sparking off metal beams. The third soldier took cover behind a broken conveyor belt. He was smart, staying low and moving carefully. This one had experience. "I cannot see the third one," Veltar said. "He is using the machinery for cover." Hyunwoo crawled along the floor, trying to get a better angle. His knees scraped against broken glass and metal shavings. The factory had been making something before the war. Now it was just a tomb full of rusted bones. A plasma bolt burned the air where his head had been a second before. The third soldier had spotted him. Hyunwoo rolled behind an overturned table and tried to think. They had maybe a minute before more soldiers arrived. The sound of gunfire would bring them running. "Human Hyunwoo," Veltar said quietly. "There is a way, but you will not like it. Tell me. Leave me here. Take my rifle and ammunition. I will hold them as long as I can while you escape." "No. Be logical. One of us can escape. Both of us will die." Another plasma bolt hit the table, burning through the metal. Pretty soon his cover would be gone. "I have a better idea," Hyunwoo said. He pulled a grenade from his belt. "When I throw this, you shoot anything that moves." He didn't wait for an answer. The grenade flew through the air and exploded behind the conveyor belt. The blast was loud and bright, filling the factory with smoke and debris. Veltar fired twice. Hyunwoo heard a scream and the sound of a body hitting the ground. "Got him," the Cathani warrior said. Hyunwoo was already moving, grabbing his pack and checking the stretcher. The anti-grav unit had taken some damage from flying debris, but it still worked. "Time to go," he said. They left through a hole in the factory's back wall. Hyunwoo could hear vehicles in the distance getting closer. The Vorthak were coming in force now. The next 3 days were the hardest of Hyunwoo's life. They moved mostly at night, hiding during the day in caves, ruins, and abandoned buildings. The stretcher held together, but just barely. The anti-grav unit kept shorting out, leaving Hyunwoo to carry Veltar's full weight. His body was breaking down. His hands were raw and bleeding. His back screamed with every step. His legs shook from exhaustion, but he kept going. Veltar never complained, even though Hyunwoo could see the pain in his eyes. The big alien tried to help however he could, watching for enemies and sharing his water even when Hyunwoo told him to keep it. On the second night, they had to cross a toxic swamp. The water glowed with chemical runoff from destroyed factories. It burned the skin and made the air hard to breathe. "This will kill us both," Veltar said as they stood at the edge of the poisonous water. "Maybe. But going around will take 2 days, and we don't have that much food." Hyunwoo sealed his pack in plastic bags. "Besides, I've been through worse." "When?" "Basic training. Our drill sergeant made us crawl through a sewer for 5 kilometers. This is just a sewer that glows." Veltar made that sound that might have been laughter. "Your training methods are insane. Insane but effective." Hyunwoo waded into the swamp, pulling the stretcher behind him. The water came up to his chest and burned like acid. He had to stop every few meters to rest and clean the chemicals from his eyes. Halfway across, the anti-grav unit finally died completely. Sparks flew from its circuits and then it went dark. "Now what?" Veltar asked. Hyunwoo looked at the stretcher, then at the alien warrior lying on it. 300 pounds of dead weight in chest-deep poison water. "Now we find out how stubborn I really am." He lifted one end of the stretcher and started pulling. Each step was agony. The water fought him, trying to drag them both down. His muscles burned from the chemical exposure and the impossible weight. "Let me go," Veltar said. "This is madness." "Probably," Hyunwoo gasped. "But madness is what humans do best." It took 4 hours to cross the swamp. When they finally reached the other side, Hyunwoo collapsed on the muddy bank. His skin was red and blistered from the chemicals. His clothes were falling apart, but they were alive. On the 3rd day, they reached the mountains. The terrain was rocky and steep, impossible for the stretcher. Hyunwoo had to carry Veltar on his back, climbing from rock to rock like a mountain goat. "Why do you do this?" Veltar asked during one of their rest stops. "Your own people think you are dead. The Alliance will not reward this foolishness. What do you gain?" Hyunwoo thought about the question. His body was destroyed. His career was probably over. He might never see Jihi again. What was he gaining? "I told you about my friend Taeho," he said finally. "The one who lost his legs?" "Yes, the marathon runner. What I didn't tell you was that everyone gave up on him. The doctors, his family, even me for a while. But he didn't give up on himself. And eventually, a few people decided not to give up on him either. His wife, his brother, a physical therapist who believed in crazy things like human determination." Hyunwoo looked up at the stars beginning to show in the darkening sky. They saved him. Not just his body, but his spirit, made him believe he was worth saving. And you know what? Now he spends his time helping other people who have lost hope. Teaches them that being broken doesn't mean being worthless. Weibo, you think I am like your friend? I think everyone deserves to have someone who won't give up on them, even when giving up makes perfect sense. Veltar was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Stronger somehow. "Your people are strange, human Hyunwoo. You fight wars you cannot win. You save people who do not deserve saving. You refuse to accept the reality that others see clearly. Yeah, we're pretty weird. It is a good weird, I think." On the 4th morning, they saw smoke rising from a valley below. Not the black smoke of burning cities, but the gray smoke of cooking fires. "The resistance?" Veltar asked. "I hope so." Hyunwoo started the long climb down into the valley. "Because if it's not, we're about to have a very bad day." As they got closer, Hyunwoo could see people moving around the camp. Humans and aliens working together, setting up equipment and standing guard. A mix of uniforms and civilian clothes. "That's them," he said with relief. "That's gotta be them." A sentry spotted them when they were still 100 meters away. She was human, carrying a rifle and wearing the torn uniform of an Alliance intelligence officer. "Stop right there," she called out. "Identify yourselves!" "Corporal Hyunwoo Park, Human Expeditionary Force," he shouted back. I've got a wounded Cathani warrior who needs medical attention. The sentry approached carefully, her weapon ready. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Park, you're supposed to be dead. The whole 3rd Battalion was listed as killed in action 4 days ago. Reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Hyunwoo set down the stretcher gently. This is Veltar. He took a plasma blast to the spine, saving a Zentaurian officer. His own people left him to die. The sentry looked at Veltar, then back at Hyunwoo. Her expression was hard to read. And you carried him through 60 kilometers of enemy territory? Someone had to. She stared at him for a moment, then spoke into her radio. Young Ma, you need to see this. We've got a live one from the 3rd Battalion. And he brought a friend. A few minutes later, a woman came walking up the hill. She was older, maybe 40, with the confident stride of someone used to command. Her uniform was patched and dirty, but her bearing was unmistakably military. I'm Major Youngmi Choi, she said. Welcome to the island of misfit toys, Corporal. Let's get your friend to our doctor and see if we can fix what everyone else says is broken. As they carried Veltar into the camp, Hyunwoo saw something that gave him hope. Soldiers of different species working together. Not because their governments told them to, but because they had chosen to. Maybe, just maybe, they had found the right place. The surgery took 14 hours. Hyunwoo stayed awake for all of it, helping Dr. Kim with tools and guidance from Ji-Hai over the radio. His hands shook from exhaustion, but he didn't leave the operating table. Neural bridge is connected, Dr. Kim announced as the sun set outside. Initial readings look good, but we won't know if it worked until he wakes up. Veltar lay unconscious on the table, his massive frame connected to monitoring equipment. Thin wires ran from the base of his skull to a small device implanted near his spine. It looked like science fiction, but it was real. How long until we know? Hyunwoo asked. Could be hours. Could be days. His brain needs time to learn how to use the artificial pathways. The entire camp waited. Soldiers from different species gathered around the medical tent, talking in quiet voices. Word had spread through the resistance network. Everyone knew what this meant. On the 3rd day, Veltar's eyes opened. How do you feel? Dr. Kim asked, checking his readings. Strange, Veltar said slowly. Different. I can sense things that were not there before. Can you feel your legs? Veltar concentrated, his face tight with effort. Then his eyes went wide. Yes, I can feel them. Dr. Kim smiled. Try to move your toes. Veltar stared down at his feet. Slowly, carefully, his toes wiggled. It was a small movement, but it might as well have been a mountain moving. It works, he whispered. It actually works. The crowd outside erupted in cheers. Humans, Cathani, Zentaurians, Vakari, all celebrating together. But this was just the beginning. Over the next week, Veltar learned to walk again. But he was different now. Stronger than before. The neural bridge didn't just restore his abilities, it enhanced them. He could move faster, react quicker, coordinate his actions with computer precision. The artificial components are integrating better than we hoped, Dr. Kim explained. They're not just replacing damaged nerves. They're improving the entire system. Young Mai had been recording everything, the surgery, the recovery, Veltar's first steps. She uploaded it all to the Galactic network with a simple message. This is what happens when you don't give up on people. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Alliance Command demanded to know how a dead soldier had accessed their networks. Cathani military leaders called the recording fake. Zentaurian scientists insisted it was impossible, but the evidence was right there. A paralyzed warrior walking again. Not just walking, fighting with abilities beyond anything his species had ever achieved. Within days, other resistance cells were reporting new arrivals. Soldiers who had been abandoned by their own people, seeking out the humans who supposedly worked miracles. We're getting 20 new people a day, Youngmi told Hyunwoo as they watched Veltar sparring with other warriors. Word is spreading faster than we can handle. Veltar moved like liquid lightning, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to anticipate and counter attacks before his opponents even made them. But more importantly, he fought with joy. The despair was gone from his eyes, replaced by fierce determination. My people are coming, he said after finishing his training. Cathani warriors who were deemed incomplete or dishonored. They want to know if the stories are true. What stories? That humans can fix anything. That you refuse to accept defeat, even when defeat is logical and honorable. A month later, the first real test came. Vorthak forces had located the camp and were mounting a major assault. Hundreds of enemy troops with heavy weapons and air support. "We can't fight that many," one of the resistance fighters said as they watched the approaching army. "Maybe not," young Mai replied, "but we can try." The battle began at dawn. Vorthak hover tanks rolled up the valley while attack ships strafed the camp from above. It should have been a massacre. Instead, it became a demonstration. Veltar led a squad of refused warriors, Cathani who had been written off as useless by their own people. But these weren't the broken soldiers their species had abandoned. They were something new. Enhanced by human technology and driven by the determination of people who had been given a second chance, they fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They shared tactical data through their neural implants, coordinated attacks with computer precision, and moved with superhuman speed and strength. Next 477, the Zentaurian with damaged logic circuits, used his new creative thinking to devise strategies that no purely logical mind could imagine. Ket'Ila, the blind Vakari priestess, guided artillery strikes with an intuitive understanding of the battlefield that surpassed any targeting computer. The incomplete Cathani engineer, Mortis, provided covering fire with his enhanced prosthetic arm, shooting with accuracy that would have been impossible with his original limb. But it was Veltar who broke the enemy line. Moving faster than the Vorthak soldiers could track, he carved through their ranks like a force of nature. Every enemy who fell to his weapon was a statement. The broken could be made whole, and the whole could be made stronger. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Vorthak army was in full retreat, leaving behind their equipment and their wounded. "Impossible," a captured Vorthak officer said as young Mi interrogated him. "Your force was outnumbered 4-1. You had no heavy weapons, no air support. How did you win?" "We had something better," young Mai replied. "We had people who refused to stay down." The recordings of the battle spread through the galactic network like wildfire. Alliance Command could no longer deny what was happening. The soldiers they had written off as dead were not only alive, they were winning battles that should have been impossible. Major Sujin Lee arrived 3 days later with a full Alliance fleet. She walked into the camp like she owned it, but Hyunwoo could see the amazement in her eyes. "Corporal Park," she said formally, "you're under arrest for disobeying direct orders." "Yes, sir," Hyunwoo replied. "I understand. However," she continued, "the Alliance Council has decided that your court-martial can wait. They want to offer you a promotion to major and command of a new unit, something they're calling the Recovery Division." "What's the Recovery Division?" "A unit dedicated to finding and rehabilitating soldiers that other commands have written off. Soldiers like your friend Veltar and everyone else in this camp." Hyunwoo looked around at the people he had come to think of as family, the refused, the abandoned, the supposedly hopeless. They were all watching him, waiting to see what he would say. "What about them?" he asked. "They're all being offered full pardons and reinstatement at their previous ranks, with the option to join your new unit or return to their original commands." Veltar stepped forward. "I choose to stay with human Hyunwoo," he announced. "He saved me when my own people would not. I will follow him anywhere." One by one, the others made the same choice. Next 477, Ket'Ila, Mordas, even Yangmi. They had found something here that their original units had never offered, the certainty that they would never be abandoned again. "Looks like you've got your unit, Major Park," Sujin said with a smile. "The Alliance is giving you a ship, unlimited medical funding, and official authorization to recruit from any species rejected soldiers. And our mission?" "Officially? Search and rescue operations in hostile territory." Sujin's smile widened. "Unofficially? Keep doing what you're doing. Keep proving that no one is beyond saving." 6 months later, Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Alliance ship Second Chance, watching as another rescue mission returned. They had pulled a squad of wounded Zentaurians from behind enemy lines, soldiers whose own command had declared them lost. Dr. Kim was already preparing surgery for 3 of them. Injuries that would have ended their careers in any other unit would soon be transformed into enhancements that made them stronger than before. Incoming transmission. From Earth, the communications officer announced, "It's for you, sir." Jihee's face appeared on the main screen, smiling from her office at Seoul Medical Center. "Hello, my stubborn husband," she said. "I just wanted to tell you that I'm proud of you." "For what?" for proving something I've always believed. That the only real disability is giving up. She paused, looking at the data scrolling across her screens. I've been analyzing the neural bridge technology you've been using. The integration rates are incredible. Dr. Kim says we're getting better at the surgeries every week. It's not just the surgeries. It's the environment. The knowledge that they won't be abandoned again. Hope is the most powerful medicine we have. The screen showed the latest statistics. Over 300 soldiers recovered. Dozens of supposedly hopeless cases now fighting with abilities that exceeded their original capacity. Battle after battle won by forces that should have been defeated. The other species are starting to change their policies. Ji-Hai continued. The Cathani are reconsidering their honor codes. The Zentorians are questioning their logic about defective units. Even the Vakari are admitting that spiritual damage might be healable. Good, Yunwu said. Maybe they'll stop throwing away their people. And it all started with one soldier who refused to leave his friend behind. Hyunwoo looked out at the stars, thinking about all the battles still to come. All the soldiers still waiting to be saved, all the people who had been told they were worthless, waiting for someone to prove them wrong. It's what humans do, he said simply. We don't leave people behind. Veltar approached, moving with the fluid grace of his enhanced abilities.